Madam Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to this bill. This is only going to make the problem that much worse. The problem came about because we spent too much, we borrowed too much, and we printed too much money, we inflated too much, and we overregulated. And this is all that this bill is about, is more of the same. So you can't solve the problem. We're looking at a symptom. We're looking at the collapsing of a market that was unstable. It was unstable because of the way it came about. It came about because of a monopoly control of money and credit by the Federal Reserve System, and that is a natural consequence of what happens when a Federal Reserve System creates too much credit. Now, there have been a fair number of free market economists around, predicted this would happen, and yet, do we look to them for advice? No, we totally exclude them, we don't listen to them, we don't look at them. We look to the people who created the problem and then perpetuate the problem. The most serious mistake that could be made here today is to blame free market capitalism for this problem. This has nothing to do with free market capitalism. This has to do with a managed economy, an inflationary system, corporatism, a special interest system. It has nothing to do with the failure of free markets and capitalism. Yet we're resorting now, once again, to promoting more and more government. Long term, this is disastrous because everything we're doing here, everything we've done for 6 months, we've already pumped in $700 billion. Here's another $700 billion. This is going to destroy the dollar. That's what you should be concerned about. Yeah, Wall Street's in trouble. There's a lot of problems. And if we don't vote for this, there's going to be problems. But believe me, if you destroy the dollar, you're going to destroy a worldwide economy, and that's what we're on the verge of doing. And it is inevitable, if we continue this, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot more serious than what we're dealing with today. We need to get our house in order. We need more oversight. That is for certainty. But we need oversight of the Federal Reserve System, the Exchange Stabilization Fund, the President's Working Group on Financial Markets. Find out what they're doing. How much have I been meddling in the market? But what we're doing today is going to make things much worse. Madam Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to this bill because it won't solve our problem. It is said that we're in a liquidity crisis and a credit crunch, and all we need is more credit. The Federal Reserve has already injected over $1 trillion worth of credit, and it hasn't seemed to help a whole lot. Injecting another $600 or $700 billion will not solve the problem. I think one of the reasons why we're floundering around here is that we don't understand the problem, because instead of it being a credit crunch, I think it's a lot more serious than that. And that is, I think what's happening in the market today is signaling something much more draconian, because it's probably telling us that our government is insolvent, that we're on the verge of bankruptcy, and big things are starting to happen, and we don't quite understand it, so we fall back on the old cliches. What we need is more appropriations, more spending, more debt, and more credit in the market. That means more inflation by the Federal Reserve System. And yet, that is what caused the trouble. We want to do this, it is said, to prevent the recession or depression, because that is unbearable. But the truth is you should have thought of that about 10 or 15 years ago, because the financial bubble created by the excessive credit and the lowering of the interest rates is the cause of the recession. The recession is a demand. It's a must. You can't avoid it. Yes, it's been papered over several times over these last several decades, but that just made the bubble bigger. But the message now is you can't paper it over any longer. So the recession and or depression will come. My sincere conviction is that by doing more mischief and not allowing markets to adjust, debt to be liquidated, you're going to guarantee a depression. It's going to be prolonged. The agony is going to be there for a lot longer than if you allow markets to adjust. Liquidation of debt. Let the bankruptcy occur. Let the good assets come up, and let it react. This idea that there's not enough regulation is completely wrong. There's too much regulation and lack of regulation of the Federal Reserve System and the Exchange Stabilization Fund.